It was 10:30 at night. I was riding shotgun in Armin's car, and 3 other friends, 2 guys and 1 girl, were seated behind. We had gone to a resort in the outskirts of town to have dinner and were returning home by the highway. It was a dark, deserted road with no street lights inside the car. The 3 friends in the back seat were constantly joking about how creepy the road was, and how all of them had heard stories of some ghostly children who kept crossing the streets, running barefoot. I was enthralled by their tales but didn't quite believe them, for they were too over the top to be true. Armin, though, was quaking in his seat. Begging them to stop, I laughed and patted him on the back, ensuring him that they were only joking, and there were no such things as ghosts or evil spirits just then, as if to prove me wrong. 3 middle-aged men suddenly appeared, walking by the side of the road. For the split second that I saw them, their features were imprinted in my mind. The one on the left was dressed in a maroon cardigan. The one in the center had a yellow turban on his head, and the one on the right had a black shawl wrapped around his shoulders. Their appearance was so sudden that Armin swerved the car violently to avoid hitting them, causing us all to jump in our seats. We crossed them, but shock was tangible inside the car. The laughter of seconds ago reduced to stunned silence. It was too dark to make out where these 3 men came from. But if you were me, you would have sworn they appeared out of thin air. I was in the front seat, constantly keeping an eye out on the road. I would have seen beforehand if 3 men in such distinct clothes were walking right by us. There was no banter now, no more ghost stories. We were too petrified to even make conversation. The girl in the back urged Armin to drive faster so we could reach home soon. My own heart was thumping hard, but I put on a brave visage and turned back to tell them that everything was all right, that those men were probably locals from the nearby village, out on a post-dinner walk. Just then, our car swerved violently again, skidding dangerously close to the divider. I turned around, my hand on Armin's shoulder to steady myself, and asked, "What the hell was that?" Armin's fists were gripping the steering wheel tight. His voice came out in barely a whimper. There were 3 men walking by. Those same 3 men we crossed 5 minutes back. I looked at him, my mouth agape in disbelief. No, that can't be, I reasoned. Was the man in the center wearing yellow headgear? Yes, and the one on the left a maroon jacket. They were the same men, I swear. An irrational fear tightened itself around my heart, in a vice-like grip. Finding my voice, I looked at the navigation app on my phone and said, "We have around 1 kilometer of this road ahead of us. Let us all keep our eyes open till we reach home." The highway was filled with potholes, but a terrified Armin drove as fast as he could and crossed the distance within 10 minutes. On the last stretch of the highway, just before the familiar lights of the town came into view, we could spot a single headlight in the distance. I grabbed Armin's wrist in caution, as everyone else held their breath, not knowing what to expect. And as we drove closer, we could see a broken-down motorbike by the road. 3 men stood next to it, waving at us, asking us to stop our car and get help. These men were much younger, probably in their 20s. But the one who flagged us down was wearing a maroon cardigan, and the one standing closest to the motorbike had a black shawl thrown carelessly around his shoulders. We didn't stop. None of us uttered a word. Armin stepped on the accelerator and sped past in a whiz. I looked back, terrified that these men might follow us on their bike. But all I saw was the darkness. The headlight that had been flashing just a few seconds ago had disappeared. Where had it gone? Neither Armin, nor I, nor the 3 friends in the back seat breathed until we reached the familiar entrance to the city. It was then that all of us let out a sigh of relief. What was it that had just happened? Who were those 3 men, and what were they trying to tell us? What would have happened had we stopped our car at their behest? I still get goosebumps when I think of that fateful night, them, and the chills that run down my spine every time the image of those 3 men flashes in my mind are the only evidence remaining now. Evidence that whatever happened that night was real and not a figment of my imagination. For the curious ones, this incident happened on the Silker-Lumding stretch of India's National Highway 27, also known as the East-West Corridor of India. If you like this video, hit the like button and also subscribe now for the new upcoming horror story videos. Let's meet another video. Thank you for watching.